Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and I want to welcome you to Success Mentorship class number 109. As you know, our classes are based on our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success. And if you don't have one, I recommend you get it. It's available on Amazon, or you can get an autographed edition on our website, www.12, that's the number 12, uls.com. And during the broadcast, we'd really appreciate it if you could share it with your friends, your family, with your contacts, because I believe that the information you'll get today will be helpful in helping you achieve your goals. We're here every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. So let's get working. Our topic for today, Success Mentorship class number 109, is making right decisions. And let me tell you something, folks. Decisions are the key to success. One of the great thinkers said that we are where we are because of the decisions we make. Albert Einstein said that if he had a situation that his life depended on, and he had an hour to deal with it, he would spend 55 minutes deciding the right questions to ask. And then 5 minutes literally solving the issue. The thought being that if you ask the proper questions, then you will get the proper answers. Literally, it's funny. Literally, your decisions are determined by the questions you ask. So let's look at this. This is the idea of making right decisions is extremely critical right now and at any time, because whenever we face a crisis or a challenge, the idea is, how do I get past this? How do I move to the next level? How do I get through this to a place where I want to be? When we think about that, just the definition of the word decision gives you a kind of an answer to why it's important. A decision is a sentence worded or expressed to get information. A sentence worded or expressed to get information. So the fact that you are seeking a decision means that you want some information. You feel that there's something that you need to know. There's a spiritual principle, and it says, seek and you shall find. Ask and it shall be answered. Knock and the door will be open. And the thought is that for growth, for spiritual growth, for any type of growth, decisions and the seeking of answers is critical. Tony Robbins once said that, very interesting, he said that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you answer. Let me say that again. Tony Robbins says that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask. The questions you ask are really based on your level of consciousness and your perspective in life. You know, those of us who are parents, there's that period, I guess, the terrible 2s and 3s and 4s, when we have children and all they ask is why. They always want an answer. They want a solution. They're always asking questions. And somehow, as we begin to grow up, we lose that desire to know. Let's just say that. And so questions are the things that guide us to the lives that we live, because questions lead to decisions, which then lead to actions. There are two types of questions that really determine where we want to go and how we want to operate. There are questions about yourself, and there are questions about other people. Now, The fact that you have a question means that there's something that you're not happy about. There's something that you need to know. In other words, the definition of question is a sentence designed to get information. So the fact that you're asking a question means that there's something that you need to know, and you affirmatively want to find it out. There is always a question asked, whether it's an active asking or passive acting. For example, there are people who live their lives in their comfort zone. They're not asking any questions because whatever their situation, they have accepted it and they claim to be happy in it. They don't see a need to change. But the simple fact that they are still existing means that they have actually asked a question. You see, sometimes we don't ask actively, we ask passively. What I mean. So if a person is living in their comfort zone, they have really asked the question of, why am I here? And they've answered it because I'm here and I accept the fact that I'm here and I'm happy with it. So they are focusing on an end result that they've chosen by not taking action to do something different. When you have questions, in general, there are three sides of a question that I think the most important is the why side. Why ask the question? And many times you ask the question because there's an awareness that you have that you want something different. You ask a question because there's an awareness that maybe you want it better. Sometimes you even ask questions that can make it worse. You know, there's some people say, well, why do these terrible things keep happening to me? Guess what? The question you ask programs to a large extent the answers that you receive. And so if you ask, why are these negative things happening to me? You've automatically programmed your mind and your subconscious to find all the negative things that are happening to you, which then confirms them and they continue happening. You then have the why question. The why aspect of the question. Many of us have been in situations where we know that we're not happy. We know that a challenge question must be asked, but we don't do it. So the when of the question side. Sometimes we don't ask the question until the particular situation is of such a painful nature that we finally have to say, what do I have to do to get out of here? And then, of course, there's the how aspect. The interesting thing about that, so why ask it, when you ask it, how you ask it. The interesting thing, though, is the moment the why happens and that you actually take the action to ask the question, the how begins to manifest because the answer is always a part of the question. Carl Jung said that when you ask the question, you have basically given the answer. Just asking the question, you're halfway towards finding the answer. So let's look at this. We have questions about yourself. And how you formulate that question determines the answers that you get. We look at a challenge situation. We're living in challenging times right now. So the questions that we ask are critical. Can you imagine if we ask a question, we perceive that I am confronted with the worst conditions of my life. I'm confronted with the most terrible situation of my life. If that is the external situation, the crisis situation. If we ask the question, how did this happen to me? Guess what? We have literally programmed perpetuation of the situation that we're complaining about. If we ask, why am I so unlucky that this can happen to me? We have literally programmed the answer. So as we ask the questions that will guide us to the life that we desire, be careful in the formulation of the question. Ask the question in a way that creates a positive outcome. Example, I'm facing a challenge right now, whatever we call it, crisis, pandemic, whatever. Suppose I ask the question, how is this the best thing that can happen to me? I'll ask that question again. How is this the best thing that can happen to me? The human mind, especially the subconscious aspect of it, responds to questions in, you might say, an absolute way. So simply asking the question, how is this the best thing that ever happened to me? It seems as though we're ignoring our present situation. Well, we are, because we may not have control over the external situation that we're experiencing, but we do have control over our minds. So why not ask the question, how is this the best thing that happened to me? And maybe write it down. Well, number one, I don't have to go to a job that I hate. Okay. And they're still paying me. Okay. Maybe I finally have a chance to cool out, to relax. I've been really wanting to take a breather. My body's been tired. My job and my situation has caused me to be pushing and pushing every day. Now, because of this situation, this particular crisis, I can sit back and cool out. Well, I'm not traveling, not eating a lot, so I got a chance to save money. Guess what? You know what's great about this situation? I have a chance to spend time with my family, with my spouse, with my children, with my loved ones. You know what else is good about it? I can set new goals. There are things I've been wanting to do and I put on the back burner for so long. Now that I have this particular situation, I can work on that. I can set new goals. You know, this is a good thing because this is showing me how shaky my finances are. And so now I can make different decisions about how I handle my money. You know what? This is an excellent thing because I now see that I need to change my ways. So, you know, continuing that line of questioning, asking the question, how is this the best thing to happen to me? And then proceeding to answer it along those lines, you create a vibration. You see, anything we do creates a vibration. So asking the right questions in a positive perspective creates a vibration of a positive solution. That whatever the question you ask, it sets up a vibration. And under the law of attraction, that vibration, that experience with that vibration is attracted to you. But it works positively and negatively. Based on that same situation, the same crisis, suppose I said, gosh, how is this the worst thing that can happen to me? Well, I'm worried. I'm fearful. I can't go out and see my friends. I can't go on the vacation. I can't go and watch my child graduate. I don't have any money for the necessities. There's no one to talk to. I'm absolutely bored. I've watched every video, every show. You see, same situation. It's just by asking a different question, you get a different response. And the answer to your question is the basis for your actions. So really, decision make is really about choices. That the question that you ask programs the answer. And so once you get an answer, you then take action on that answer, the decision. And so it becomes clear that we are where we are in life because of the decisions we make. The power to ask questions, my friends, is awesome. It is really a great power because in asking questions, you literally program the outcome. You program the answer. You know, that spiritual principle again, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened, ask and it shall be answered, is saying that when you put forth the affirmative conscious vibration of seeking, knocking, and asking, an answer always comes. So let's look at 3 questions to ask about yourself that can help take you where you want to go. Number 1, when you are in a situation where you're asking a question, a powerful question is, what can I do differently to get a better outcome? So question 1, what can I do differently to get a better outcome? When we ask that question, we have literally programmed a response. What can I do differently? Your subconscious mind operates on a faith and hope basis, in a sense, in that when you formulated the question, what can I do differently to get a better outcome, you have automatically assumed a positive outcome is possible. Everybody see that? What can I do to get a better outcome? You've literally, it might be called applied faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So asking the simple question, what can I do to get a better outcome? I've literally programmed my subconscious mind to find that outcome. Question number 2. What skills must I possess that will allow me to get a better outcome? What skills must I possess to allow me to get a better outcome? Now, that's an interesting question because it can be looked at in 2 ways. You might look at it from the sense of, what skills do I have to help me get through this challenge? What skills do I have that can help me get through this challenge? Which is a way of assessing your level of skill. And it's also an implied assumption that success is a result of skill, applied skill. So what skills do I have gives me that ability to assess where I'm at so that I can know, we say, hey, I've been here and I've done that before. I can overcome this. If I can walk on fire, I can do anything. The other side of that coin is, what skills do I not possess that I need? During a crisis situation, when you can sit back and say, okay, you know what? I remember when I went to college, I was, I think 16. And when I got to school, I had a feeling that everybody knew something that I didn't know. Many of the students there had gone to the top colleges in the country, Bronx High School of Science, Stuyvesant, some of the top schools in the country. And here I am, a little kid from North Carolina. And when I assessed my skills, I said, I need to learn to read faster to be successful here. And so when you look at any particular crisis, that was my crisis. And so what I do, I went out and I took the Evelyn Woods Reading Dynamics course, and that made all the difference. So when you are in these crisis situations, when you ask that question, what skill do I possess and what skills do I not possess that I need, that I can get to help me get through this positively? And then the third major question is, what lessons do I, now this is the operative word, folks, what lessons do I choose to learn? You see, the lesson is always being taught, but we may choose to ignore it. Many times in relationships, there's a statement that says, a person always tells you who they really are. You may choose to ignore it. And so sometimes in, you might say, negative or abusive relationships, the person has let you know, has told you in so many ways who they really are, that they're negative, that they don't support you, that they don't love you. But you choose to ignore it, or you choose to deflect it, or you choose to believe something different from what the person has actually told you is the truth of who they are. So when we are in a crisis or in a situation, and crisis to me, I think there's a Greek derivation one of the aspects of crisis is opportunity. So the thought being, where there is crisis, there is opportunity. We grow through challenges. So whenever we're confronted with a challenge, it's an opportunity for growth. So when we program ourselves in what lessons can I learn from this challenge now, we literally put ourselves in a position to make proper decisions, right decisions that will take us through the situation to the next level. And that next level is where we want to go. We choose it that way. So with these 3 questions to ask yourself, what can I do differently? What skills do I possess or need to possess? And what lessons do I choose to learn? These questions now can help us make right decisions to go where we want to go. What about questions about other people? If we asked better questions about the people we meet, we would have much better relationships. As a parent, so many times we wish that we could substitute our own experience and judgment for that of our children so that we can keep them from making the pitfalls, having the downfalls, and experiencing some of the pain that we know is there because we've been there and done that. And one of the lessons that I wish that I would love to always teach to my children and to people in general is that if you ask certain questions of the other people you meet and then listen to their answers, you'll get a lot of insight in how to create good relationships. One question I'd like to ask other people: what do you find fascinating about yourself? Let's say that again. What do you find fascinating about yourself? It's very interesting because I've asked that of people and I've seen their minds and their eye. You can see the mind churning. And I've had people say, I can't think of a thing that's fascinating about myself. Now, that tells you a whole lot about that person. Okay? And so, what do you find fascinating about yourself? And then listen. Anything else? And when I like to do this, it's kind of from a coaching perspective. What do you find fascinating about yourself? Well, what's fascinating is I really like, I like music. Beautiful. Is there anything else that's fascinating about yourself? Well, I like to play music. I'm a piano player. I just have not been playing as much as I'd like to. What else do you find fascinating? And so this line of question about somebody, and I don't mean it in a challenge like I'm a detective or a police officer inquiring, but just in a very comfortable environment where a person feels secure enough to tell you and give you a truthful answer. Second question I'd like to ask is, what surprises other people about you? What surprises other people about you? And that's such an interesting question. I've seen people answer in a way they say, well, what surprises people is that I'm really just a softie. I'm kind of a pushover. People think because I'm a big person. I had a friend that was about 6'7", and as a matter of fact, I'll give a better example. Remember the great famous basketball Wilt Chamberlain? Wilt was really about 7'3", but he was very sensitive about his height, and so he always was hunched over. And he would say, "I'm over 7 feet." He for some reason he didn't seem to want to acknowledge he was 7'3". I don't know if it's written that way, but I know him and we talked. But he always had this idea of wanting to crouch down. And the thing that he said was that if I asked him that question, I didn't at the time because I didn't know the question, but I know his answer would be, what surprises people about him is that he's sensitive about his height. What surprises people, he really didn't like being that tall because he didn't like standing out from the crowd. What would surprise people about him is he really wanted to be able to blend in. At 7 feet, it's hard to blend in. So when you ask a person that question, what surprises other people about you? That's a very, very revealing person, because it gives an idea of how the person sees the world and how they perceive that the world sees them. The third question I like to ask is this: if money was no object and you knew you could not fail, what would you do? And let me tell you something, that's a question. If you're getting into a relationship with somebody, that's a question that reveals so much about that person that you need to really, really pay attention. So what would you do if money was no object? And when they tell you the answer, well, first I'd make sure that all my family was taken care of. And all of my family's family, and maybe set aside money that all the kids could go to school, go to college, go wherever they want to go. I'd make sure that my community, I'd like to tithe, for example, and make sure that my church or whatever religious organization has. So when a person starts answering that question, you begin to see whether they operate from ego or from we go. So let's just summarize now, folks. The asking the right questions. Number one, questions are the foundation for growth and the foundation for our reality. We are where we are because of the quality of the questions we ask. Number two, the questions are evidence of our level of consciousness, of our level of awareness. So when a child asks the question, why, they have one level of consciousness and awareness to accept and perceive the answer. When we ask the question, why, we have a completely different level of awareness and consciousness to perceive the answer. Remember, there are two types of questions: the questions you ask about yourself to help you program yourself to get desired results based on the quality of your questions, and the questions you ask other people to help you learn who they really are, how they really feel about themselves, how they feel about you, and how they feel about the world. These three self-questions: what would you do differently to get desired results in your life? What skills do you need or do you possess that can help you get better outcomes? And what lessons do you choose to learn? These three questions directed toward you will help you reveal who you really are and expose the powers that you have. Those questions about other people: what do you find fascinating about yourself? What surprises other people about you? And if money were no object, what would you do? Gives you a good indication of who that person really is, so that you can make right decisions and how to deal with them. Wow, folks, this is Dr. Herbert Harris. This has been Success Mentorship class number 109, Making Right Decisions. We are where we are because of the decisions we make. Make right decisions based on the lives that we want to live, the person we want to be, the things we want to do, and whatever possessions we want to have. Because the decisions we make dictate the life that we experience. So make right decisions, always knowing that the best is yet to come. Thank you so much. This is Dr. Herbert Harris. Join us again next Saturday morning, 8 a.m., same time, same station. Be blessed.